Is Blue Eyes the best deck in the meta? We want to take an early look at the meta on Untap.gg, which is using data from the ladder, from people playing the ladder. So it's a very nice data source right here. I have looked over this a few times now. You can also check out my video where I show you how to play the new decks. The Blue Eyes deck, for example, Blue Eyes Primate. I have a guide for this. I have a Memento guide. I have a Centur-Ion guide. Go check that out. Blue Eyes Primate guide is linked in the description, also in the top right corner. So you can see right here Blue Eyes with 58% win rate, and it's very, very popular. 21% are playing this deck. And you can also see the rank distribution here, and we can see that a lot of people are playing it in Platinum, but also a lot of people are playing it in Master and Diamond. So you could argue that this is a bit skewed by a lot of people playing this in Platinum, yeah. But as you can see right here, we are also playing it in other ranks. It's also very represented in like Silver and Gold compared to the other decks. So very, very interesting. So I guess if we would filter this for higher ranks, it would maybe be a bit lower, not as high as we can see it right here with the Winrate. But at the moment, it's listed here as the best deck, followed by Tenpai Dragons. I've talked about this. Tenpai Dragons still very strong. Snake Eyes, no big surprise. And then Kashtira, we will look at this in a second. Branded Despair is here, Wild Forest, Centur-Ion, and then Labyrinth and Exodia has fallen down, was at the top of this list for a while. So we can take a look at 1,300 decks, but obviously these are the ones. And this needs to be said. It's very early, as you can see right here. This is only 100 matches. The top decks only have 100 matches, and then you already come to like 50 matches here, which is quite a low number. So we definitely have to wait a bit more for more data points. This actually list, I was also playing this exact list here, or the list that I'm playing currently, and I have to say it's really, really good. It's kicking the Fuva loss in order to be a bit more consistent. We are playing stuff like the Talents, which also is very nice if you use Untap.gg, by the way. I'm not affiliated with them, but you can click copy the deck, and then you can just auto import the deck into your deck builder. I don't even need to type in the names yourself and pull the cards over, which is very nice. Otherwise, it's a very basic list, a very clean list. We are playing 42 cards here, playing the most important cards, the Primate Engine, obviously with 1 Drill Beam. Some people, as you can see right here, playing 2 Drill Beams. You can also play, you see it here, something like the Skill Drain, which is obviously nice going first, but then not so great going second. They are playing the Zephyr Dragon. I'm always a big fan of the Cosmic Blazer Dragon. I am not the one making the Zephyr. I really like the extra deck here. We also have Chaos Angel, which makes sense in my opinion. Azalea is nice, since we often can't go into an SP a Little Knight. Azalea is way better in that sense. And I think Anima is actually a no-brainer. You can use your Mate or your Sage. The Mate you can resummon with your Blue Eyes via your True Light, or via, I don't know, the Lordly Lord. And then you can go into your Relinquish Anima and steal your opponent's monster. I guess if you use the Lordly Lord to summon the Blue Eyes, it won't work, but you know what I mean. And we can see right here the lists that are further down below are playing something like Ultimate Fusion, which I think is less optimal, definitely less optimal versions here. There are some breaking versions, but you can see right here the win rate is messing. There's one with like 75% win rate, but a very low count with 50 games. Also playing something like Ultimate Fusion, like Skill Drain. So a lot of different versions that you can play, but I think this is a very, very solid one if you want to copy one. Very, very strong here. So Blue Eyes at the top spot here, very nice. Still a lot of Tenpai Dragon around. This makes sense. This is still a very strong deck. Same thing here. We have a low amount of matches. I was playing, which list did I play? I think I was playing this list down here, and have to say it was very successful. Oh no, actually the list I was playing isn't on here because I was playing a Purulia. But we are playing the Dominus Impulse, makes sense, ×3. It only conflicts with the Fuva loss. And I also think at the moment it makes sense to play Purulia, since it's very good against Blue Eyes, and Blue Eyes is around the most played deck, as we just have seen. And if you're playing the ladder, you also have noticed that. I think it's quite nice to bump up the Senpai Biden Dragon and the Transcendent Dragon, because there are people playing Kashtira versions, and if Unicorn rips your Tenpai monsters, then you have a big problem. I also think it is mandatory to play this Blaster plus 2 Gold Sarcophagus line here to make the deck more consistent. This gives you 2 additional cards that get you into your Tenpai Dragons. Opening the Blaster unfortunately doesn't work, but the Blaster has other cool options that you could use. So Tenpai Dragon being strong, still no big surprise right here. We have Snake Eyes. Obviously, people are still playing Snake Eyes. You can play the Asamina version, you can play the Millennium version. We can see the Millennium stuff right here, which has become worse, and the Asamina version, in my opinion, has become better again. You can see the best deck, or the deck with the most representation here, being an Asamina version. We are playing number 6 Chromonalis Atlantis. 2 monsters with level 6. When this card is expertly summoned, you can one number monster in the green graveyard, equip it. Okay, very strange stuff that we are doing here. It's maybe a lock or something. I don't know. I have never seen this, but sometimes the lists over here on Untapped are a bit strange, a bit unorthodox, one have to say. We are also playing the Birch, which is an extender that can make sense. We can unfortunately only on our opponent's turn send away for the Flame Birch Dragon, which honestly makes Birch a bit worse in my opinion. I think Snake Eyes is on the decline, even though it is still a very strong deck, also represented by the numbers. This guy is also playing the Raging Phoenix, the Atlantis package, as this deck can sometimes, we're also playing it here, as this deck can sometimes struggle going second and finishing the game. But I think in order for this deck to really leave the format, we need a few more hits, some major hits on maybe the Flame Birch Dragon or the OSS. Then we can see this Kashtira. This is very interesting actually. So we are obviously playing Kashtira stun version here. You can say there's the Macrocosmos. We are playing the Unicorns, the Fenriers, Dimension Shifter, Dimensional Fissure. We are playing Strikes and Judgments, which crazy that this deck has such a high win rate. I guess it's a low number of matches. This is obviously better going first. He's playing 2 Masterpiece, which is also a Floodgate, I think, if I remember this correctly. We are playing Skill, and we are playing Rivalry and the Anti-Spell and Tikaboo. So yeah, if this deck goes first, it obviously wins. You can see right here, there is a list that is more going second oriented with the Lava Golems, with the evenly matched, also performing quite well, even better, but a lower amount of matches. So you can play this going first, you can play this going second. I also think that a going second version might make a bit more sense, just to be more flexible. Going first, your engine is quite strong. You have stuff like Macrocosmos still in this version, and then going second, you have the ability to break the board. So I think this makes sense. Scrolling down even further, you can see like a mix. We are playing Super Polymerizations to break the board, which Super Poly at the moment is quite nice, especially against Blue Eyes in my opinion. They are playing the 7th Tachyon here, the new card that we will in future play in Ryziel. Very interesting. Once again, a board breaker variant here. But yeah, Kashtira Stun is still around, and this is why you might consider putting multiple important cards in your extra deck of the cards that you need, so you don't get Kashtira unicorned. And then we have Branded Despia here and a White Forest. Centur-Ion might be another one that is quite interesting, taking a look at that. You can see right here, not a lot of people are playing it right now, so we definitely have to wait for more numbers in order to make a definite statement on what is good right now. I have seen this card in a few lists, Never Ending Nightmare. Basically, you pay 1000 life points to destroy a spell trap on the field. You can do it every turn. I've also seen this in Labyrinth lists, very interesting, but I think this list here looks quite solid. In this list, there are a lot of strange cards. You could, for example, use this one, the Catastor, LAF Justice Catastor Cycle Reader, to quick effect. Discard this to the graveyard and then choose 2 light monsters in your opponent's graveyard and banish them. Obviously, attack against Blue Eyes, banish their Blue Eyes monsters, but I don't know if that's that great, because rarely ever will there be 2 Blue Eyes in the graveyard. Normally one is on the field or one is on in the deck. So I think this thing isn't it. I wouldn't play this because it's also super specific. So this is a very clunky version in my opinion. If you want to play a clean version, this one looks way better, even though this one has the better win rate. But yeah, the numbers are low. We're also playing Dimension Fissure. I guess this works with the Centur-Ion stuff because their stuff can theoretically be banished. The boss monsters can place the Centur-Ion monsters from the banishment to the spell trap, so this works. So very interesting. You can go ahead and check out the other lists, but I think a clean list is the best way to go. This could also be used here with Bonfire, making it even more consistent. I like this list even more than this one, since this is more consistent, and consistency is the name of the game. You can see right here what else could we take a look at. Labyrinth maybe also very interesting, because Labyrinth is always tagged against the current meta. We can see a going first version, I'm assuming, with Anti-Spell. Makes sense. You obviously want to go your Arias into your Daruma Kama Cannon, stopping your opponent on his turn. But here, once again, here's the trap, Never Ending Nightmare. The win rates here are actually not that great. There is the Simultaneous Equation Cannon, which is not super good against Blue Eyes, because Blue Eyes has the True Light on the field, and then if your opponent activates this Equation Cannon, you can just go True Light, resummon one of your Blue Eyes from the graveyard, and then the equation doesn't work anymore. So I think it's not the best moment to play a Labyrinth, honestly, because especially going second, it's just not that great. I mean, going first, if you can establish like Ghost Match and Skill Drain and stuff, and anti-magic spell, then obviously you win the game. But you also have to need to have a good option to going second, and this deck unfortunately isn't it. I think if you want to play it, then it's very important to play triple Arias, so you have some options to use very impactful traps like the Daruma Karma Cannon on your opponent's turn. I would bump this up to 3, Arias to 3, and then this might work. Also cards like Dimension Barrier, not that great at the moment, because against Blue Eyes it's like meh, and then all of the other decks are basically also playing like multiple types, XYZs and Links and Synchros, so it's definitely not the best time for Dimensional Barrier. I think not the best time for Labyrinth, but still very interesting. So yeah, we have to conclude Blue Eyes at the top of the ranked ladder at the moment. Very interesting, super happy to see this, but obviously we will have to visit this in the future to see how this develops. Maybe Memento will also show up on here. I think it's not a bad deck, but yeah, let me know in the comments what you think of these current developments. What are you playing right now, or what are you playing against? How do you feel is the meta right now? I think it's quite nice. Snake Eyes definitely not as dominant as before. A lot of people are Blue Eyes. I like this. A change in the meta is always something nice. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you like my videos, please consider subscribing, hitting a thumbs up and the notification bell, and we will see each other in the next one.